The third part of the anime begins when Ryo arrives in Yogomo Prefecture, where his father lived. And everyone in the village has black hair like Ryo. Ryo asks two girls about the location of the village leader, and two girls called Seo and Rory. Rory say that the village leader is her grandmother and will deliver him to her. Then, Ryo meets the village leader, whose name is Yuba, and he tells her that he wants to ask her something because she knows most of the people who live in the village. And when they sit down, Ryo tells her that his father lived in this village 15 years ago. Then the leader asks him about the names of his parents. And when Ryo says Zen and Ayami, the leader is surprised and tells the girls to go out and leave them alone. And the leader asks him what he knows about them. And he tells her that his father died when he was an infant, and he lived a quiet life with his mother until she died when he was 5, and that she always promised him to come to the Yajumo area, and that he wanted to make 2 graves for them as a monument. And then the leader tells him that she knows them well because she is Zen's mother and your grandmother. And then she takes him to the 2 graves and tells him that his parents had to leave the country secretly for some reason. And when Ryo asks her why, she tells him that she is not the one who will tell him, and the right day will come for you to know. And she tells Ryo to live with her and Rory, his cousin, who is a year older than Ryo, until this time Komi's. And she tells him that she will hide his identity for some time and leave him and go home. Then Ryo returns to a house and they are waiting for him to eat dinner. And in the morning Ryo prepares breakfast. The grandmother is amazed by Ryo's skill in cooking and also for using it for spirit art. And by the way, everyone in the village like Ryo cannot use magic like the rest and use the art of spirits. But Ryo has great strength because of the spirit inside him. And then comes Seo and her brother Shen, and Grandma knows them to Ryo. They sit down for breakfast and are amazed by Ryo's amazing cooking. And Grandma tells Shen to take Ryo with him to hunt, but Shen underestimates Ryo's abilities and bullies him. Then Seo starts to like Ryo. And when Ryo returned, he was very dirty, so he used spirit's art to make a huge bath to bathe. And then Seo and Rory saw the bathroom and were amazed at what Ryo made and the good smell that came out of it. And Shen came with his friends and bullied Ryo. But his sister Seo and Rory defended him. And when Shen found his sister angry, he left them and went. And the days passed and Ryo helped the people in the village and everyone loved him. And the day of collecting the crop came, and the grandmother asked him to accompany the tax agent to the royal capital to protect the transport team. Ryo gladly agrees. Then they hear a loud voice, and Shen fights with someone named John, and John is the son of the leader of the village next to them, because he was looking at the girls in the bathroom. And Rory asks him what he brought here, and he said that his cart crashed on his way to the royal capital, and John keeps provoking Shen. Then Shen attacked John, but John was strong and caught him easily. The village leader comes and ends this fight and asks John to go to the guest's house, and he is not allowed to leave it. And on his way he finds Ryo in front of him, and kicks him in the foot, but he falls to the ground. So he gets angry and stands up and takes his friends and goes. Then Shen asks Grandma to spend Seo the night with them because they are alone, and if something happens he will not be able to protect her. And at night Ryo gives Seo and Rory a protection amulet that they put in their room. And in the guest house John is sitting and his friends, and we find out that he smashed his cart on purpose because he wants to rape Rory at night, and this is his plan from the beginning. And in the morning the tax agent named Sarga Hayate Komi's, and then Ryo is practicing and Seo and Rory are watching him. And Rory asks him why he has been training every day since he came to the village. So Ryo returns his clothes and tells them that when he was young there was a girl he loved, and he wanted to become strong to protect her. But now he doesn't know anything about her, and now he trains for himself. Then the tax agent comes out of the bathroom and thanks Ryo for it. And at night John enters the girl's room and grabs Rory and tells Seo if she makes a sound he will kill her. But Ryo appears and hits John's friends. And when he sees John holding Rory, he remembers the death of his mother. Then John attacks him, but Ryo easily signs him and grabs him, and John begs him to leave him. But Ryo hits him in the face hard, and the girls are shocked by the scene. And Sarga comes and stops Ryo because John was about to die. Then Ryo stands alone and says to himself, "This is the second time I would like to kill someone." And in the morning Ryo apologizes for what happened. But everyone is happy with what he did and thanks him and sits down to eat breakfast. Then the Metropolitan Police comes to arrest John and his friends. And Grandma Yuba thanks Hayate for what he did and asks him for a favor. which is to deliver a message to his father personally. And then they reach the royal capital, and he takes Shen and the hunter, Ryo, to try a meal called kamuden, which is delicious and Ryo likes it, and Shin thanks Ryo for what he did, and asks him to take his sister Seo to try kamuden because he will be busy and she wants to try him to bring him in home. Then he takes Ryo Seo to buy her a souvenir from the capital, and Seo is very embarrassed and chooses a hairpin, and the saleswoman tells them that this pin is expensive and that she will give them a discount. But Ryo tells her that he cannot bargain the price of a gift for Miss at all, and when they leave, the saleswoman stops Seo and tell her do what you can to make it yours because there will be intense competition for that young man. And on their way there was a little girl who is kidnapped, but Ryo saves her, and the child's bodyguard comes and thanks him. And when the city guards were on their way, he left Ryo because he wanted to avoid problems. Then we go to Hayate and he gives the letter to his father. And when he read it, he asked him to meet someone called Ryo. Then they go to Ryo, and he is the father of Hayate, is named Joki, and his mother is named Kyoto. And they say to Ryo that they were servants in the past for his mother, and that his mother was from the royal family in the Karasuki kingdom. And Ryo is shocked by his words, and he says to Ryo also, 20 years ago the kingdom was at war and his father Zen volunteered to be a soldier. And because of his talent the king gave him the rank of noble warrior. And he fought a fight against him, and because of his amazing skill, I recommended him to be the guard of his mother, Ayami, his son the king. And Ayami admired Zen, and on the day the kingdom was negotiating with the neighboring kingdom to establish a truce, and the prince who came as an ambassador admired Ayami, and tried to kidnap her by his servant, but Zen confronted him and killed him, and that did not like the prince, and stipulated that in order to make the truce, Zen must execute the armistice, and marry Ayami as a political marriage. And the king then made his daughter and Zen run away in secret, and until now no one knows anything about them until I come. And he asks Ryo to come tomorrow to the royal palace to meet the king and queen, and Ryo agrees to that. And then Ryo meets the king and queen, and they are happy to meet their grandson. And then they ask Ryo to tell them everything about his parents, and Ryo tells them that they both died. His father died when he was young, so he did not know him well. And he lived with his mother a happy life, and she cared about him and did not make him feel sad for his father until she was killed when he age of 5. And the person who killed her, he worked with his father as an adventurer, and his name was Lucius, and he was helping them after his father's death. But one day his mother went to buy some things and he was at home alone, and when Ryo opened the door for him, he hid him and made him drink a kind of from poisons. Then his mother came suddenly, and Lucius killed her, and then he lost consciousness. And the king and queen are affected by the words of Ryo, and they ask him how he lived his life after the death of his mother. So he says that when he woke up he found himself in the slums until he was 7 years old, and tells them about the kidnapping of Princess Flora and his studies at the academy and all that. Then the king asks Ryo if he intends to avenge his mother, and Ryo says that what kept me alive was my thinking of avenging my mother, and that he knows that revenge does not generate anything, and that his mother would not have wanted that, but if he met this person, he would kill him with his own hands. And the king tells him that the path of revenge ends in hell, so do you want to continue? And Ryo tells him that he knows this, but he will take revenge. And the king understands Ryo's position and tells him that he will not stop him, and he asks Ryo to fight Jockey, because he is the most powerful person in the kingdom and neighboring kingdoms. And the king wants this in order to know how strong Ryo is so that he does not worry about him, because he suspects that Lucius killed his father as well. And this means that this person is strong. On their way, they meet the little girl who was going to be kidnapped and get to know him, and Jockey knows that Ryo saved his daughter. Then the time of the fight comes, and there is a strong fight between the two, and Jockey uses his strongest technology, but Ryo avoids it and can defeat him easily, and wins the fight. And everyone is surprised by how strong Ryo is, and the king reassures him and asks him if there is something he would like to ask. And Ryo says that he has a cousin and wants to tell her about his lineage, and the king gladly agrees, and everyone returns to the village. Ryo tells Ruri that he is from the royal family and her cousin, but Ruri thinks he is joking, but the grandmother assured her of Ryo's words, and when she learned it, Ruri bowed to Ryo because he was from the royal family, but Ryo told her to treat him as she treated him before. And Ruri was happy because of Ryo's kindness and asked him to treat her also informally because they are relatives now. and Ryo agreed. Ryo tells them that he will leave next year, and they ask him if he will come back again. Ryo tells them that of course he will come back, but he wants to visit somewhere. Days pass and everyone lives a quiet and happy life, and Ryo goes to help Seo plant the crop and tells her that he will leave after the harvest feast. When she knows, she's deeply sad, but she does not show it to Ryo. Ruri also comes and helps them. When Seo comes home, the first thing she does is cry, and Shin comes and asks her why she is crying. And when she tells him that Ryo is going to leave, he knows that his sister loves Ryo. So he leaves her and goes to Ryo and begs him not to leave the village. Seo comes and takes her brother and apologizes to Grandma and Ryo for what Shin did. And they go. The days go by, and Seo is training daily to get stronger. And the day of harvest comes, and everyone is having fun. And Seo comes to Ryo and tells him that she wants to talk to him. And then they go to the forest, and Seo confesses to Ryo that she loves him. She tells her that she trained for 6 months every day so as not to slow down his progress. But Ryo apologizes to her and tells her that he can't reciprocate this feeling. And he leaves her and goes. Ryo notices Shin and is saddened by what happened. And Ryo leaves and says goodbye to his grandmother and Ruri. On his way to leave, he finds Seo waiting for him at the door of the village. And the leader Juki sees what happened and talks to Seo and convinces her not to be sad if she really loves Ryo. He says goodbye to Seo, and then he goes happy. Ryo returns to the wilderness and meets Latifa and the girls who welcome him. And then he meets the wise men, and they welcome him back and tell him about his journey and what he discovered. And he tells them that he will stay a few months in the village and tells them that he will build a house to take with him. And he will put it in a space-time bracelet to help him travel. And the dwarf Dominic tells him that he will build this house for him. And Ryo comes home, and Ryo praises the girls because they became beautiful. And the girls are ashamed of his words, and they have a good time together. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and click on the like and write your opinion in the comments.